Hello and welcome to a very important and interesting discussion on sweet intake and its impact on human health. I'm Richa Jain Kalra. Sweets are an inseparable part of Indian diet that has led to an increase in incidence of diabetes around the country. It has reached chronic proportions and needs active intervention. But the good part is that diabetes can also be easily managed and prevented. So, what are the best combat strategies for prevention of diabetes in the country is our topic of discussion today. We are discussing sweet truth, reducing sugar, and staying active for diabetes prevention. And I'm joined by a very esteemed panel of doctors to discuss this. I'd like to welcome our esteemed panelists who have joined me from different parts of the country. Dr. Balaji Jagan Mohan, he's consultant physician and diabetologist at the Apollo Sugar Clinics, Bangalore. I also have with me Professor Dr. Kamlakar Tripathi, ex-professor and head Department of Medicine and Department of Nephrology at the Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras, Hindu University at Varanasi. We also have on the panel Professor Dr. L. Srinivas Murthy, Senior Consultant Physician and Diabetologist at the Life Care Hospital and Research Center, Bangalore. A very warm welcome to all the three panelists for joining us today. So I'd like to start with Dr. Balaji Jagan Mohan first. What are the hidden sources of sugar that we consume every day through our foods that people should specifically watch out for?
So if you see, as per the American Heart Association, they've clearly mentioned that the sugar intake should be less than 6 grams in females, and in males, it should not exceed more than 9 grams. Now, there are various food sources where hidden sugars are seen, and some of the things that we consume on a daily basis. So, for example, packaged foods like biscuits, chips, instant noodles, they contain hidden sugars which the consumer is not aware of. Apart from this, there are corn syrups that are high in fructose. So this is high in glycemic index, and this also has hidden sugars. And also there are fruit juices which people consume on a daily basis. And fruit juices again are very high in glycemic index. The fiber content is low, and it's better that they have the fruit as a whole rather than having it as a juice. And also ketchups and sauces. These also are having a lot of hidden sugars, which can have spikes in blood sugar.
Right. So the question comes is that how do we identify added sugars on different kind of food labels? I want to take this question to Dr. Tripathi, sir.
It was not before in our country, about 3-4 decades before. But now, since we have processed food, there are the containers which written over there, added sugar. So one can read it. It could be on this language of the regional language. It could be in English, whatever is given by the consumer. Whatever is purchasing that is written over there, it would write like syrup base. And this syrup could be rice syrup or it could be corn syrup, depending on from where the source it has been extracted. There could be word like oats, sucrose, glucose, lactose, maltose. These are the different food contents written over there. In candy, it's also written, or the soft drink. There's also mentioned whether they contain syrup base or they do not contain syrup base. And there are many foods, other foods also, fast food, cooked food. It's written over there. So you can look at the list and then you can decide how much extra sugar is there and how much calorie they are adding to your.
Right, sir. So people must watch out for the labeling of added sugars on different kind of food products. So now the next question is, how do we find the better and healthy alternatives to sugary snacks and sugary beverages? Dr. Srinivas Murthy, if you could answer this.
Yeah, Richa, there are many alternate healthy ways for replacing these sugary snacks and beverages, which can be as simple as a fruit, which usually should be consumed as a whole. And this can be a portable, you can carry anywhere. It can be a satisfying snack, which can contain fiber or minerals. You can try apples, pears, grapes, etc. A lot of these fruits contain the fiber-rich food, which is very important for us. The other alternative can be a dried fruits, what we usually call. It contains a concentrated source of sweetness that can be more nutritious than a given candy. And you can try the unsweetened dried strawberries, mangoes, or apples. This is one of the best alternatives for children as well. And of course, the dark chocolate covered fruit can be another alternative way to satisfy the candy cravings, which some people try to have this. And also, you can try the dunking the banana slices or the strawberries into the dark chocolate. That's another alternative. Herbal teas, a caffeine-free alternative to the traditional tea. You can try the lavender, the spearmint, the ginger, hibiscus, these kind of flavors as individual requirements. And of course, the carbonated water, which you can flavor the carbonated water with a fresh fruit, with a 100% fruit juice, and or herbs as well. And you can start with a 1:1 ratio whenever using this carbonated water and the fruit juice. And of course, stevia-based sweetener is one of the alternatives for a low-carb sweetener. You can add a dash of stevia-based sweetener to a sparkling or a still water with a few slices of lemon or lime. And of course, the last but not the least, the organic brown sugar is a popular sugar substitute that retains most of its nutritional property, which can be used in the baking, cooking, and hot and cold beverages.
So a lot of innovative ideas also on the healthy side of sugar intake. How do we prevent diabetes by reducing our sugar intake is something I want to put to Dr. Balaji.
Yeah, see, now we already have spoken about the various sources of direct sugars. We can reduce the risk of acquiring diabetes by trying to replace these sugars with healthy options. So what are the healthy options? So we need to have more of complex carbohydrates. So any form of whole grains has got a low glycemic index and it is high in fiber content. Then as Dr. Srinivas Murthy has alluded to, that we need to have a lot of fruits as a whole, rather than taking as fruit juices, and a lot of legumes, a lot of dry fruits, a lot of vegetables, any greens, any kind of colors in our diet, a lot of fruits and vegetables is always very healthy. And all this will definitely reduce the burden on the pancreas. Pancreas is an organ that secretes insulin, so that whatever we eat is converted into glucose and taken up into tissues for energy. So the burden on the pancreas is lesser to raise the blood sugars if we consume these kinds of foods that are low in glycemic index and high in fiber.
Right. So one strategy is healthy alternatives, and the other strategy could be exercise. So, Professor Tripathi, why is regular physical activity so important in managing the blood sugar levels?
Because your muscles consume sugar as a substrate, as a source of energy. So when you do exercise, aerobic exercise, your calf muscle, your thigh muscle, your pectoralis muscle, your arm muscle, they consume more sugar, and these sugars are utilized, and because of that, you consume, and then your whatever extra sugar you have consumed is being taken care of. Then also we need to increase the glucose disposal. So you have consumed, you have used it, whatever waste you need to dispose it off. Besides, they help you to dispose of the extra sugar. The muscle glucose uptake during contraction, they take a lot of glucose and energy, and then also they improve the insulin sensitivity. Whatever insulin body needs to, whatever had been supplied becomes better, acts better, and becomes better. They also reduce cardiovascular risk. You increase your cardiac capability to run, to work hard, and the heart muscle to pump more blood, and that require more energy in that. They increase bone metabolism. The turnover of the calcium from the bone, as well as white, it becomes better. So it becomes harder. There are both two activity in the bone, osteoclastic activity, and then they remove the useless part of the bone and they add the good part of the bone. So there is increased osteoblast activity, osteoclastic activity. And also they help to control your weight, and also the other activity, they give you better sleep. The better you sleep, better your health.
Right. So as Professor Tripathi is saying that exercise plays a crucial role, how much exercise is important every day? Dr. Srinivas Murthy, if you could elaborate on that to prevent diabetes, how much is enough?
Yeah, Richa, I think this is the most neglected part in our routine lifestyle, including our children. We do not motivate them for a regular exercise, which can prevent a lot of disease apart from diabetes, obesity, etc. I think the recommendations are very clear cut. The government, the WHO, various bodies say 150 minutes per day. That amounts to about 30 minutes per day. That means every day we need to dedicate ourselves to have the physical activity 30 minutes on a daily basis, which is very, very important, as I said, in the preventive aspect. Now, some of the examples of moderate exercise can be a brisk walking, a biking, like a cycling on a flat ground, swimming is one of the best exercises. And of course, to take online exercises classes like yoga classes can be very, very motivating and refreshing. And the vigorous activity can also be taken out. The vigorous means whenever you know literally become breathless when you're talking. That's the vigorous for that individual. And of course, this can be running, little jogging, high intensity exercises, biking on a fast or a uphill, climbing uphills, or a fast swimming can also be in the category of this vigorous activity. In addition to regular physical activity, you can try the tips to prevent diabetes, and that's very important. That should be resistance exercises, limitation of the inactivity, and checking blood sugars regularly. The resistance exercises can be the yoga or the weightlifting, which can be done in a household on a daily basis. And of course, the inactivity, especially the IT people who are in the cities, corporate people who try to sit for long hours should be break, because now the latest one, what we say, the slogan is sitting is equivalent to smoking. So every 30 minutes, they should literally take a break from that inactivity. And of course, monitoring sugars once in a year, once in 6 months, once in 3 years, based on your risk stratification, as advised by a doctor, is equally important.
Right. So, how does a combination of physical exercise and a good diet overall impact diabetes prevention, Dr. Balaji?
Yeah, so I think we've already spoken about the importance of diet and exercise. And diet, like I said, if you want to prevent diabetes, it has to be low in calories, high in fiber, it has to be moderate in protein and fat. And they have to consume a lot of micronutrients. So micronutrients like vitamins and minerals are very essential for the muscle and good functioning of the various organs. Now, when it comes to exercise, I think already my co-panelists have mentioned, I would mention that there are 4 types of exercises that are very important if you have to prevent diabetes. So any form of cardiovascular exercises that can be running, swimming, playing badminton, tennis. Apart from that, resistance training or strengthening exercises. So if you build a little bit of muscle, that is very good because muscles do not require insulin, especially when you exercise. You don't require insulin for the glucose to be taken up into the tissues. So resistance training is another one. Third is relaxation. Now, I think Professor Tripathi had mentioned that sleep levels are reduced. Stress levels are very high in urbanized areas. So any form of yoga, meditation, deep breathing exercises are very good to activate a system in the body called the parasympathetic system. So that's the relaxation system, and it will compensate for the lack of sleep as well. And then lastly, it is flexibility exercises. So any form of stretching like asanas or tai chi. So these flexibility is good for the bones, the joints, the ligaments, the tendons. So a good diet with good exercise will help in maintaining body weight, and it will help you to probably prevent lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, obesity, and heart disease.
Right. So, now coming to the lifestyle changes that we can easily introduce into our lives, how do these lifestyle changes help in reducing our sugar consumption and staying active, Dr. Tripathi?
We need to consume healthy diet. And healthy diet means it should not be deeply fried. It should have a balanced whole grain, complex carbohydrate, lot of fiber, vegetable, oil which are healthy. And if you're consuming protein, then they should not have a lot of fat, what we call lean protein. And you should limit your sweet consumption. As I said in the beginning, try to look what calorie they contain, how much sugar they have. So you can limit those consumptions as well. Drink a lot of water. It would dissolve and try to get rid of the extra sugar very quickly. Exercise regularly. Exercise will improve your insulin sensitivity, we said in the beginning, and also help your cell to consume more sugar in your blood. As my previous speaker said, you don't require insulin over there, and you can try brisk walking, ride a bike, play active video games, take more fiber containing food. And we do now know what are the food which have more fiber, natural food from the sources, unprocessed food. If they are not deeply fried, They are not fast. They can be consumed. Manage your stress. While eating, you should relax. It releases a good hormone, good GLP, good tylen in your saliva that makes food to digest properly. And keep sugary foods away. Don't keep, they're very tempting one. When you see them, you have a temptation to, so keep them away. Keep them away from the older people. They are fond of more than the children. Eat breakfast. Breakfast should be simple. Start with the day. Take sumptuous breakfast in the food so that you don't feel hungry the rest of the day. Eat a small portion. Don't take large portion. Keep your plates, smaller plates on your dining table. And don't skip meal, because once you skip meal, you feel more hungry. You tend to consume more. And also try to limit your consumption in social meetings.
Right. Well said, doctor. So now we'll talk about the early signs of high blood sugar. Professor Srinivas Murthy, if you could shed more light on this, and how can lifestyle changes help reverse these?
Sure, Richa. I think the very important question, because a lot of patients do not recognize these early symptoms, and these can be increased thirst, increased urination, unexplained weight loss, blurring of vision, headache, feeling unusual tiredness in their routine works. This is something which warrant them to go back to a doctor and check their sugars. And of course, the prevention is better than cure, as we say. The lifestyle changes are the key to reverse anybody's blood sugars. This can be in the form of weight loss. We say about 10 to 15% weight loss can literally normalize the blood sugars from the pre-diabetic range. And of course, regular exercise, as discussed earlier, 30 minutes a day. Do not skip that even for a day, which is very important. And eating, cutting out the added sugars, replacing the simple carbohydrates with the complex carbohydrates, eating more vegetables can help. Portion management, as Tripathi sir was talking about, the small plate size itself can be a motivation to cut down their calorie intake. Enough water, drinking daily basis can also be helpful. And of course, stress management is the key now in all youngsters. What we see, yoga, meditation can be a very good option for such people, where the relaxation technique can be adopted easily in their daily busy lifestyle. And of course, the enough sleep, because sleep deprivation can increase your appetite, and something called the cortisol, which is a hormone which can promote weight gain. So these are some of the tips which we can adapt in our daily life, busy lifestyle, I would say, to reverse this diabetes.
Lastly, Dr. Balaji, a lot of kids and youngsters are catching up with diabetes, sadly. So any thoughts for this age group specifically from you?
Yeah, so if you see this young age group, all of them are addicted to using these food ordering apps. They lead a very sedentary lifestyle and they're hooked on to gadgets. So I think they should start moving, they should start exercising and eat homemade food, the food that is made by your parents, your mother, your grandmother. The age-old recipes are very healthy. And all these food ordering apps have completely changed our dietary pattern. So I think youngsters should start moving and have more of traditional diets if they have to combat this tsunami of diabetes and lifestyle diseases.
That has been a very valid point to wrap this discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Balaji, Dr. Srinivas Murthy, and Dr. Tripathi for being with us today on this show. And it has been a very enriching discussion. And I'm sure that our viewers would have received a lot of knowledge and tips on managing and preventing diabetes that has become a chronic problem in India of late. Thank you once again for being with us.